getting close. Okay. I want to call this meeting to order, the Perry County Solid Waste. Thanks for coming at a very short notice, everyone. This shouldn't take very long. Might have a little discussion, but we got a commissioner meeting. We'll follow this today. So I think everybody got an email on interlocal agreement between the solid waste and the Perry County Commissioners over the next several months to give control to making decisions to the commissioners as we go through the process of dissolving the solid waste board here in the next 90 days. I'm going to open up for any discussion before we have a vote. And this agreement was, and we got one more member coming. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
This was written by our attorney, Andrew Foster. Just take a moment to, I think you got it on the email, you probably read over it. Randy, would you mind just reading it for the record?
And the purpose of this is just in the interim period to make sure that service continues while this process is being carried out. And the title of it is Interlocal Agreement between the Board of Commissioners and Solid Waste. And under recitals, the Perry County Board of Commissioners are the executive and legislative body of Perry County, Indiana, and the Perry County Solid Waste District is the Solid Waste Management District created August 1st, 1990 by the Commissioners pursuant to the statute. Pursuant to Indiana Code 13-21-3, solid waste has statutory authority, powers, and duties related to the disposal of solid waste. And on July 25th, 2024, Solid Waste voted to dissolve the Solid Waste District and transfer its powers to the Commissioners. And there are additional statutory requirements to complete the dissolution process, including public hearings that cause delay in formal dissolution. There is a need for commissioners to begin oversight and management before the formal dissolution of solid waste. It says, now therefore, this agreement shall be effective upon its execution and shall remain in effect till November 1st, 2024, or the formal dissolution of the solid waste, whatever happens first. Commissioners via its president or president's designee are authorized to exert control over all powers currently authorized by statute and ordinance to solid waste on behalf of the solid waste, including but not limited to the payment of bills, issuance of invoices, management of employees, and anything else essential to the operation and maintenance of solid waste. The purpose of this agreement is a temporary granting of powers to prevent any irrevocable loss, ensure the continuity of service, and safeguard the interests of the commissioners in solid waste. All action taken by the commissioners will comply with applicable laws and conform to the budgetary bounds of solid waste. This agreement will automatically terminate on November 1st, 2024, or the formal dissolution of solid waste, whatever happens first, without any formal action by either end. Nope. That is besides the signature page of it.
Thank you, Randy. Any discussion?
Randy, I have a question. I did receive both these emails from Chris with this and this, but in our notice it says executive session meeting.
I think that was an error on my part. That's a new
Okay.
notice that Andrew had sent me, and I didn't realize till after I had done it that one said executive.
Okay, I'm cool then. I was just,
So yeah, that was.
well, normally it would be kind of in the title, and I thought, and I know some residents asked, and I thought, well, it says executive, so I
had the same people ask me, and then I realized that was a new one that Andrew had given us that we're using for, you're supposed to be using special notices with the Indiana codes for special meetings and executive.
Sure.
And I think that one said executive.
Because it said in your meeting to discuss pending litigation too, which we do have pending litigation, correct?
I don't think that can be discussed.
Yeah,
We can discuss if we have litigation, just not regarding it.
The executive session was for the purpose of discussion of that which is applicable under state law. She just printed the wrong one, is what it amounted to, because we couldn't take an action like this unless it's in a public meeting. We
Sure.
can do that in executive
Right, I knew
session.
that.
So
Yeah,
it was
okay.
in that response, it was just the wrong, it was titled as an.
It's okay, I understand. I was just, because I was confused, 'cause I knew we had that litigation. Chris actually told me about it last week. I didn't know a case had been filed against us.
I didn't either, but,
So, I mean, that's public record anyways. You might look up a case that's being filed. That's,
but it has been turned over to the insurance.
Yes.
okay, good.
So,
Thank you for clarifying that. I was just lost on that.
And if anybody asks, like you, Chris, or anybody else, they can go to YouTube and watch this meeting if they wanted to come, thought it was an
Sure.
executive session. So
Sure.
it's live, so it'll be
Good.
be on there, so. So this is really just the first step, from what the vote was taken back to the solid waste meeting of dissolving the, district. Any other questions, discussions?
So this means, but this agreement here that we're going to adopt it lasts until the 1st of November this year. Then all the employees still remain employed, right? They're not going to lose their positions?
what this amounts to is we're basically, right now, we currently have a solid waste district.
Mhm.
And we're gonna convert it into a county-run operation.
Okay.
So during this interim period, the county we have state statute we have to follow, so we're gonna have additional meetings, public hearings, and whatever's required for that, the attorneys.
The
take care of all
commissioners
that.
will, right? Not,
Well, no, I think we will too as a
Both.
solid waste board. Whatever the law requires, that's what we're gonna have to do.
it's like a 90-day process, if I remember right. But-
So we're leaving that to legal counsel to properly prepare that.
Okay.
So,
He's there with us the whole step,
Yeah,
every step of the way.
in the meantime, the question will arise, well, is the solid waste board making that decision? Is the county commissioners making the decision? As we go through to sort some of these details out, people are asking how we're gonna fund it, how we're gonna manage it, what we're gonna do. And quite frankly, we need to get some information before we assemble a guessing game as to how it's the most effective way to operate for the county. So those are questions. So we just felt it's necessary to take away any ambiguity as to who actually is looking and making these decisions over this transitional period. What we don't want to have happen is one of the facilities to close because basically no one's watching the door. So that's one thing we're gonna do as a county is make sure that doesn't occur.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I was just curious, like, will Chris still retain her position, or do we know?
That's part of, we don't know, that's what we're going into. We need information.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I'm sorry, when I asked if, would Chris, I'm referring to our current director, Chris Wheeler, will she retain her position during this transition time or even moving forward? And I don't know if you heard their answer.
And even at that, if you discuss personnel, it does have to be in an executive session, according to the law.
Oh, I understand that.
Are you taking public comments?
So let me ask a question. And that is, you say there's a possibility or there is a fact that we will, as a board, continue to meet
Yes.
through this period?
You may have to
May have
to
to.
meet the legal requirements.
And in those sessions, will we be expected to make decisions upon anything that references the solid waste program itself?
I don't believe so. I think this is just statutorily how we have to follow the process of having a public hearing and just to dissolve it. But in the meantime, and I don't think the county has a problem with keeping everyone informed.
No.
It's public. Anything we do is public record, so
Yeah,
it's
it'll
not a
be,
big deal.
we'll probably have on the agenda throughout the commissioner meetings for the next several months.
Just updates or what have you.
Updates.
Okay.
Because we don't, trying to guess all these details
Oh, right.
at this point is gonna be tough. Because we'll get them wrong.
Okay.
It is, so we just have to get informed to make an educated decision.
I know the final decision on some of this will be up to you three commissioners, but it might be beneficial to look into a task force or a committee of pro-recycling or, to help decide what works good and what, to help them, kind of like what was the advisory committee. That's a stuff, but to help you guys, I know you're all busy too. But if they could go out and do some of the legwork and research and bring it back to you where they got it and how they got it, that might help you all.
And that's fine. What we have right now is that what is today, the 7th, 8th of August? This thing expires November 1st.
Yeah.
We've got less than 3 months.
Yeah.
And I think in that interim period of time, we're gonna have to get the details put together, try to establish at least an interim plan as to going forward. And then I'm open to any suggestions how we might improve the services and what we can do. I mean, this is for the county.
We haven't had an advisory board. Have we had one this year?
We've had
No.
like one person maybe and they kind of fall off, but I mean, I see one or two ladies back, I'm not going to speak for them, that I feel might express interest. I'm
We
not
would welcome it.
in as a committee to help form it. I don't know if she would, I should look at that, I don't know if she would, but looking at Martha, you two ladies. I'm volunteering you.
Well, I told you, I didn't want to get involved in politics.
No, well, you wouldn't, well, yes and no, but I think if you do a committee, it should be made up of those that are taking interest in solid waste and an interest in the recycling, not just people who are put on here by statute, kind of like, they don't take his interest, so, not as passionate about it. You want passion, people doing those things, not someone who's forced to be on a board for whatever reason.
I'm with her. I don't like being involved in politics. I don't like having to show up at these kind of meetings and make public statements. I'm retired. I'd like to be done with that. I'd like to live a nice, calm life, which I moved to Berry County specifically
Yeah.
to. I don't want to live in chaos like we've been living in the last few months. I don't want to have to hear all this stuff going on. I would serve, however, to help make a better plan.
Yeah.
Not, I'd like to keep the politics out of it, which is the whole point. This shouldn't be a political issue. It should be an issue that considers the need. Everybody in this county has trash. Everybody in this county has recyclables. So it's something that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And it needs to be dealt with in a sensible way. And it should have nothing at all to do with politics. Nothing.
That's what we're trying to do now.
But that's not what I'm hearing out in the county. There's so much, stuff going on, and there's a lot of people very upset about this. And so, even though I'd rather not be involved, Chris, you know that my passion is there.
That's why I said you.
I've got way too much on my plate already.
Yeah.
But I would serve in hopes, although everybody tells me it's gonna be a waste of your time if you try to do anything because they don't wanna listen to you. They have their axe to grind, they've already made up their mind, and they don't want to listen to the citizens of this county. And that's what makes me hesitant to serve, because I'm afraid it could be a total waste of my time, because nobody's going to listen to me. I mean, this is a democracy, I know I should be listened to, but and I talked to somebody again today who just, was at last night's meeting, I wasn't at that meeting, and that was the feeling that I got from that person, was that we have no power. As citizens, we have no power in this county because there are several people that just make up their mind. They wait till it's a crisis and then they try to force it down the throat of everybody else. Instead of taking care of it early on, which was expressed at the last meeting I was at, you knew back in October already that using EPIC funds for this was potentially not allowable, that nobody did any work to find out the final answer on that for all these months until end of July, early August, when all of a sudden it comes back to roar its ugly head. And, oh my God, we're in a crisis. 2 weeks we have no funds for PCRMB anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. And it seems like the same thing with the edit thing, is that, there's a crisis there, EMS needs the money, and nobody is listening to citizens making good suggestions like I heard at the edit meeting about using the opioid fund. Why aren't they, instead of doing all this crazy stuff that seems to be going on, creating chaos in all of us citizens' lives, why isn't somebody looking at the Hoosier National Forest, like somebody mentioned that night? Other counties have been successful in going up there and getting more money for the acreage they have in Hoosier National Forest.
I have a case of paperwork
What
on.
has anybody done here to go after that money? If we need money, there are places to get money, there are grants, there's opioid money, and there's ways to get it for Hoosier National Forest, as some other counties have done. Yet we wait until there's a crisis, and then again, we try to, force things down somebody's throat.
I'm sorry to get you on a tangent over it, but
It's a crime.
it'd be up to the commissioners if they want to do that committee or not, or that task force. It really wouldn't be up to this board necessarily, but I was just making a suggestion it might help the process, but it'd be up to
And
them.
we welcome. I don't think there's anybody standing here that would not welcome any type of suggestion or whatever.
Then listen to. I've been on committees before where they said, you're welcome to come. You come, it's all a facade. They got their mind made up. They're not going to listen to a single thing that you have to say.
That's not
It's a
me.
waste of time. And so I want to know that as a citizen, that I will not just be welcomed, but that I will be heard, and that the things I say, having served on the recycling board and knowing a lot more in-depth stuff about recycling than probably a lot of you do, that I would be listened to and that my opinions would be considered. And that, first of all, that the people of this county can expect that they're going to continue to have one of the best recycling programs that I have personally experienced. We have it, it's great, and it should be supported. We should be proud of it, and we should do whatever we can to save it and keep it as good as it is or better, but not take it back. And this is the worry that a lot of people have. Well, it's turned over to the county. Some people are feeling relief. Oh, okay, it's turned over to the county. They're going to take care of it. But the other concern, of course, with that is it can be recycling in name only. In other words, it gets gutted and it doesn't serve the needs of the people in the county well. So is that what we're going to do? Or are we really going to listen to people that have ideas that serve the people in the county who don't want to put out dumpsters and who don't want to pay private haulers, and it's going to serve the people in the towns? You know, what exactly is going to happen? Are all constituencies going to be considered? Is everybody going to be treated as if they matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Chris, since you brought my name up, I just wanted to say, I'm more interested in a process.
Okay.
And the process that's being followed as opposed to, I do recycle, I think it's very important, but I've been more interested in the process being followed than just the recycling. So.
I understand.
That's where I was coming in from. And the other thing, when some things just don't make sense to me, sometimes I speak up. And so I guess what I'm hearing here to some extent, and when I looked at the statute, I didn't think the board had the ability to basically eliminate itself. It had to be eliminated by the board that created it, which evidently is the commissioner's board. And then it talked about the 90 days, it talked about having a plan, and yet there appears to be no plan. I mean, I was here to ask the same question today that I've asked all the time. How are you going to fund this? Are we going to fund it? Well, we decided not to fund it through the $45, which I must admit I think was a mistake. Are we going through this whole process? Or are you going to use, as I said, edit funds have been mentioned? Are you going to use edit funds indirectly by, taking money from your general fund and funding the recycling, and then use the edit funds to fund that other thing that you took the general fund money from? Is that how you're going to fund it? So it just always seems like you got the cart before the horse, or back asswards. We decide to do this before we have a plan. And I must admit, I've never been in any business where you decide and go about doing something before you have a plan. And I just heard we don't have any plan for funding. Randy just says we have to come up with the funds. And I've been told we have the funds. I've asked, well, are they? Where are the funds? And that's what I've been asking for this whole time. And I still have not gotten an answer. And so that's why I was here again today to ask the same question. Where are the funds coming from? Where is the plan? Because you should have a plan in place before you do this. And in fact, I thought the statute said you had to have a plan in place before you dissolve. And yet it's dissolved, it's going to be dissolved or whatever. I guess technically it's not dissolved. I mean, that's again what I wrote in it. Technically it's not going to be dissolved until 90 days from now when you finish the plan. But I sure wish the plan was done beforehand. That just seems to be a better management technique, to have all your ducks in a row before you start down the road.
And back to what Chris was.
That's all right.
Back to what Chris said. I think the recycling board that I was on was Dale Sprinkle, Lynn Rice, and I think most of these people would be willing to serve again.
That was the advisory board.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. The advisory board at that time was Lynn Rice,
Mhm.
Dale Sprinkle, Mike Simon, Steve Luttry, probably forgetting one or so people. But anyway, that was a good working board. Dale got up at the last meeting that was in here and talked about that. That was a good working board, but because of how that group has been treated in more recent history, that's why there isn't any longer an advisory board. So I would suggest that you contact all of them that were on that board, and Lynn could probably remember any that I didn't remember.
Sure.
And, you know, and there were people from various walks and backgrounds on that advisory board, and we worked together really well. We accomplished a lot, but we had people that were sensible and who really cared about providing a good service to the people here in county. That's the only reason I continue to serve on it. And I wouldn't even stay up there. I was asked to serve on that board initially. I served on it one term, and then I had too many other things on my plate and I got off. But I wouldn't even continue past the first few meetings if I didn't get the feeling that they were really there to work together and make recycling in Perry County really serve the people and serve it well. And so that's the only kind of advisory board or any kind of group I want to be on. And I've been on some other boards that I've gotten off of. Because if they're just there to raise money and not to get things done for the people, I'm not interested in those.
Sure.
I'm not interested.
The advisory board somewhat maybe has gotten a bad name. Maybe we should just have some brainstorming sessions.
Well, that's why I call it a task force, because once it's
Yeah.
completed, it don't continue on, and then,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
unfortunately, the advisory board, I think, has gotten a bad name, and, I mean, because I've heard another old timer who once complained about, I don't know if I should use that term, about the school, elementary school, that they were an advisory board, they came forward with all these suggestions, and then they ignored them all. So, I mean, I think somehow they've gotten a bad name, so we end up maybe calling it something different, opening it broader into a brainstorming session. I know, Randy, this is maybe a little off topic, but I know you're talking about all the time spent on sorting goods, and from the last meeting, it seems like that is really a Branchville problem. So I just offer a simple suggestion, maybe of anybody who brings in bagged goods, it has to have a tag on it. I don't know if they do recycling out at Branchville like they do in Canton, but, I take mine up and I dump my plastic in the plastic thing, and I dump my glass in the glass thing, and I put my core board in the other thing. So if I have a black bag, it's got trash in it. So if anyone else comes up in a black bag, just say, you gotta have a tag on a black bag, or the white bag, You recycle just in these big containers, anything bagged has to have a trash tag. And that would
That
hopefully,
is a good idea.
it would hopefully address your sorting issue, cut down on that time, and would also get you more money in terms of bag tags.
These are the things we have to explore.
Yeah, that's why we need,
One of the critical
People like
things
you.
that we lack right now is knowledge. The board that you talked about, that you specifically stated, I reached out to the entire board asking for a copy of the plan they put together because I'd like to read it, because I thought they spent some time on it. They possibly have some good ideas. No one has a copy of it. I'm not doubting that they didn't spend a lot of time on it. But if we're going to gain some knowledge on a path forward, those things have to be made available to us. Otherwise, we're going to have to look at how the current system functions, some of the difficulties within that system, and how it can be addressed. Until we collect this information, it's like throwing a dart on the wall. Are we going to hit a home run or are we going to miss? We need the information. This document simply allows the commissioners to begin the process.
And eliminates us.
Yes, and the ambiguity is who should be making this decision, who should be looking for what, who should be doing. This way it clarifies that the commissioners will get involved, look under the hood, try to determine a plan, funding mechanism, a plan going forward. Might be A, B, C, first step, second step, third step. I'm speculating right now until you actually can collect legitimate information to base these decisions upon. We're just guessing. Guessing is not good for our community. So This is all this document does, is provides the commissioners the opportunity and the accountant to sit down and try to work out something that seems fair and then services our community. That's all it amounts to.
Well, and
Nothing you said that I disagree with. I mean, community involvement's a great thing, you know?
Well, when I was on that advisory board, we didn't have what I would call a strategic plan. First of all, we had a good foundation already in place. So you really have to read the meeting minutes to understand what went on there, such as when we needed more wire back trucks for, as I mentioned before in this meeting, for the Derby Market, to take care of people that are there on weekends. Monday morning was a trash back there. So then the decision was made, okay, we need more of those things. Well, how are we going to get money? And so we start looking at the budget and things like that. Well, eventually IDEM, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, offered an opportunity to get a grant. My master's degree was grant writing. So, and then I sat down and wrote that grant. She wanted to learn how to do it. She was great help. You always need somebody to come back at you when you're doing something, you know, ask you questions, whatever. It's always good to have that. Lynn and I work well together. So you'd have to look at that. Well, we needed a concrete pad out at Branchville. Well, Mike Simon was in construction. He knew how to get good bids for that. He knew people who could do a great job, because we wanted to, of course, get somebody that's going to do something that lasts out there. So he had that expertise. Dale and Mike and Steve all had expertise when those trailers came in, and recycling workers were saying this is not a very effective way to get the recyclables off, that climb up in the bins and rake everything out. And so Steve and Dale, I think, were the ones that custom built these things inside the thing. So all they had to do was pull a rope and it pulls this thing forward and dumps all that plastic out. So we made the employees more efficient that way so that they could focus on other things, which is another part. So like I said, if you go back and read the minutes, and I assume those are kept someplace, like I said, there was no overall strategic plan. You're never going to find that, at least when I was on there. But it was meeting by meeting, what needed to be fixed, what were the problems. And the decisions were made at each meeting about how to do that. Of course, you know, once or twice a year, we had to deal with the budget and all that kind of stuff, which I knew I wasn't good on, so there were a couple other people on there that were much better at the budget, and they did that kind of thing. So it was a good board. So find meeting minutes, read the meeting minutes, and you'll have a better idea of what was accomplished at that time. But like I said, we started with a good foundation already.
I would love to read those minutes. Do you have a copy of them?
We don't have them.
We don't have them.
They aren't anywhere in the PCR&D office.
They might have to go dig and look, but it's my understanding, I've never seen them.
I may have some of them, and I don't know if Lynn kept them or not, but I probably have some of them. Good budget. Oh,
Marcia?
You're great, you're a great addition.
Yeah, well, they were recorded. We always had a tape recorder there. And I think the director then had those transcribed, I think.
I have no idea, ma'am. But
They
I'd
should
love-
be in the
I don't
records.
think,
Of course,
I don't
that'd be-
think Lynn
They
took-
should
I don't
be.
think
They
Lynn
should
took
be
them. I know
at
I
the
don't think
office.
them. So I think they were just on tape, and then Ken, who was the director at that time, would have them transcribed. That's what I.
And this is part of the discovery that we're gonna have to do. I mean, so we can get
That's what
ourselves.
we need to do.
up
That's
to
why I
speed.
think if you pull together, Chris, those people that were on that group, maybe between all of us, maybe we've got copies of a lot of it,
Right.
because some of them were on past the time that I asked to drop off. So they'll have some from the next few years after that one. Some of them were still serving. So we, you know,
But if your findings aren't heeded,
what?
you know, I hate to give up, like Randy did the other night, voting no against sending the bills out. I have to vote no unless I find out something differently, that giving up my vote and yay or nay about solid waste and recycling, I don't want to do that. I've seen the county council at work. It's, you know, to a great degree, not all, their minds are made up. They could hear the most persuasive evidence and it makes no difference. So the idea of what Chris is presenting is good, but is it unheeded?
Well, that's exactly my point from earlier, is that, I'm afraid I'm gonna be wasting my time, and I don't have time to waste. I'm involved in a lot of other different things here at church and various things, and when I'm on a committee or board or anything, I try to be an active member who actually does something. I'm not there in name only.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be there in name
Well, at
only.
least
I
we
don't
do
time to
have-
be
we
there
do
if I
have
can
a voice
accomplish
here.
something good for people. That's the only reason I want to be on there. I have no political axe to grind. Like I said, I'd rather not be here.
I still think this board will have a voice and some opinions to be offered. To me, this group is just basically giving the powers for daily operations, basically, to keep it going from now until then, while we all collectively talk about what needs to be done, and, but it expires the 1st of
What
November.
he asked was, he said, we won't really have any say,
Well, we'll have meetings, they said, still.
meetings.
What do we have say in? Yeah, I think we would.
So how do you fund it for those 3 months? Because at least when your accountant was here the last time, you didn't have 3 months worth of money.
There's some other problems going on financially with it, and they will come out publicly at a time we can address that. Right now, I don't want to make any accusations. We had an executive session, made some discoveries, and it'll be addressed.
Well, the minutes might be at the solid waste department.
They could be. You see, we don't right now, as commissioners, who has the authority to search for the minutes, the recordings, whatever it is. Again, it becomes a gray area, and if we want to actually achieve something, somebody's gonna have to step up, make some decisions, start looking, trying to assemble some information, so we make the correct decisions, instead of just guessing.
And make solid waste a successful.
And all I'm saying, it seems like you should have done
Set
that
the bills
before, at the plan, before all this other stuff, the chaos.
Well,
You should plan first, execute the plan.
it'll,
Instead of execute, try it halfway and plan then. But anyway,
if you can just bear with us, by November, it's gonna look totally different. Just trust us.
you didn't hear my story last time. Of a doctor patting my mother and leaving.
I heard it, I listened to it last night, I did.
And Chris knows what
But
what I said.
You know,
Me too.
if you want to go back to watch all the meetings, there hadn't been any of the commissioners in any of the meetings want to ever get rid of it.
No.
Oh, I.
Because there's been comments made, we don't want to see trash on the road, we don't want to see mattresses, chairs dumped along the side of the road out in rural Perry County. No. We are committed to make this work.
And I think
And I'm speaking for
instructions are different at
myself.
times.
And I know the other two feels the same way.
I've never thought you wanted to. My whole question has always been, where's the funding coming from? That's,
Well-
we didn't send out the bills. That's always been my, I very seldom have seen a governmental unit give up money, that is there for the taking, so to speak. And that's a big oddity to me.
I get it that you don't want to close the thing down. I get that. But the fear now is, I think most people in the county get that now, that you're not going to close it down. But the fear now out there is that, okay, we're going to have a recycling center in name only, and it's going to be gutted because you haven't figured out the funding. It's just going to be gutted. And so it's really not going to serve what the people need, and people in the country are going to be paying.
I'll disagree with that, but here's why, because sometimes the more that recycling, that's less detergent bottles, less cardboard in the trash trucks that they have to haul off, it costs more. They'll have to weigh those things and look at how it works, but I don't see that changing like that, because
Well, but it's
it would
just
put
like,
more,
I don't know what her story was about the doctor, but here's my story, and I mentioned to me about a week and a half ago to you, Chris. I said it's like dealing with a used car salesman. You go to look at this used car and they say, trust me, this is a cream puff, this is a great car. And, well, can I test drive it? Can I take it to another mechanic to have them look at it? Well, no, you need to buy this today. This is a special price today. Trust me, it's a great car. You're asking us to trust you when, and I didn't even know a lot of your faces. I didn't know until I came to that meeting a few weeks ago. I know who you were. I didn't know who a lot of the people at the end of you were, because like I said, I tried to stay out of this stuff unless I have to get in. But I didn't know most of you, but I had heard things about a lot of you. But I was trying to keep an open mind about everybody, because I like to make my own decisions, not listen to other people's judgments on certain people. But after that meeting, I did wonder if this is a group that I could trust. Because I hadn't seen evidence of a plan. I hadn't seen evidence of what you were gonna do. Okay, yeah, it's turned over to the county. Trust us, we're the county, we're gonna take care of this. But it can be recycled in name only and still not serve the needs of the people in this county. So I can't trust you until I see that you are listening to me, that you are considering what I say, and that some of what I say is actually in the final plan, and that you have a plan for funding this that suits most of the citizens of Perry County. I can't trust you until you give me reason to trust you, until I can actually test drive that car and take it to a mechanic and make sure that, this car doesn't have some big problems that you're not telling me. I can't.
Well, I can tell you, I hope over time that this board as it sits today, and I'm confident too with the commissioners, I hope we do gain your trust over time. And you will.
They're elected officials to take care of citizens. That's what we elect people for, is to do right by us. But when all of a sudden people started realizing we weren't being done right by our local legislators, then people started coming in. Otherwise, they're like me. We trust our people to do what's best and move on. But when it gets to the point where people don't trust anymore, like you saw at the edit meeting a few weeks ago, like you saw at the edit meeting last night, like you saw at the recycling meeting, that ought to be a signal that people no longer have trust in the system here. And that's, like I said, that's a sad commentary, but that's what's happened.
You know how we get your trust? Give us time
Well,
with this issue here. And you're bringing other issues into this issue, it should be brought in today. It's a solid waste issue right now at the point. Just give us time and you will trust
I
us.
think she would feel more trusting if we were collecting the $45. But we.
Well, at the end of the day, once we do a research, it might be a $45 fee, it might be a $25 fee, and it might not be anything at all.
Mike,
Just give us time to work on it. That's what I'm asking here today.
Mike,
And that's when we got the 90 days.
I might be, but I can forego that for now. I can forego the $45 fee thing being sent out for now. I really can. I'm willing to give you time, but I want you to be as transparent as you've never been before. I want you to all be the model of transparency. I want to see on the front page of the paper notices about meetings. I found out about this meeting today 20 minutes before I showed up here, because somebody said it was an executive meeting and I wasn't allowed to go. And I said, what? This is a democracy and I'm not allowed to speak? What are we now? What kind of country are we now? What kind of county are we now? Well, then a little bit later, this person found out, oh, no, it's a special meeting, but you can go. And so I quickly got dressed, tried to, I was working at home, got myself together to get in here so that I could represent other citizens who think like me. But I am willing to give you time, as long as you are transparent to the max, getting the word out on Facebook, front page of the paper about every meeting, about what your plans are, what your interim plans are leading up to what the final plan is. We all need to know the truth in no uncertain terms, and it needs to be timely so that we can attend these meetings, so that people have a chance to express themselves about how they feel about it. So yes, I'm willing to give you time, but you have to still earn some of that. I'm saying, yeah, I'll give you the time, but you still have to slowly earn back that trust with me and with an awful lot of people in this county by being transparent, telling us the truth. We don't want to hear 2-3 different versions of the truth. We want to hear what it really is. Don't try to, cover it up. Don't try to hurry it up. Don't try to, put other things out there that, to get us off track. No, we want the truth, the absolute truth. I want to see the entire minutes. And do you guys, after you have a meeting like this, do you have minutes?
Yes, we adopt them at every meeting.
Okay, I'd like to see those minutes printed in the paper.
I think it'd be a lot cheaper to put on our website. Are they on the website with the solid waste? Be easier to post them on the website, because you know how much it would cost to put it in that paper?
Okay.
It would cost, yeah, seriously, it would cost you more than a solid waste.
And they are public record. If you want to go see them, you can see them.
Put it on your website and publicize that here's where the public can go to read the actual minutes of the meeting, so that people know where to go.
You were reading current meetings, not the old ones, right, or both, when you said that. I thought, when I heard you, I was thinking about all the old ones, like, oh my God, we got broke in the
No,
newspaper.
I don't need all the old
Is
ones.
that right, Chris?
I don't need all the old ones.
Okay,
No.
all right, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
And I'm surprised that hasn't been done in the past.
I
think
believe,
they should be out there.
isn't these videos we take posted? so
Yeah,
anyone
all
can
these
go-
videos, go back and watch them for the last,
We have-
You know when I found out about that? About a month ago.
I made the recommendation that we start doing them here for the
You know,
recording.
you can see those meetings on YouTube or something. I said, no, I did not know that.
Yep.
Now, I consider myself a reasonably intelligent person, but there's a lot of stuff I don't watch on TV. Now, what you will find me watching is things like the series about Dante, the poet, and he who wrote the thing. I'm watching that. I'm watching, the history things, and I don't watch them on the History Channel because a lot of those aren't real true history.
Can we-
So I'm pretty selective about that. I'm
Right.
not on
I'm gonna have to
Facebook I'm not on Facebook for a reason, not even with my family. My family and I, we have an email or a text thread that we, inform each other there. I don't do Facebook because it serves me very, very well, because there's a lot.
not for a vote, and then we're all gonna have another meeting then.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I thank you for your
Yes.
I
comments.
just want to say thank you.
I'd be glad to talk after
Thank you for
sometime,
letting me
but-
speak. I appreciate that. As a
Thank
citizen, I know it is my right, and I'm here to speak for those who aren't here today.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Entertain a motion. Local agreement.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any other further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign?
Nay.
Okay. Got one nay and the rest aye, so. You went for it, didn't you? Okay. 6-1 in favor. Anybody got anything else for the meeting today?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank everyone.
Gonna have to sign yours, Randy, or when you sign it.
Sign.